Happy Father's Day out there to all the dads. It's Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock Pacific, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Hopefully, you've got the barbecues all ready to go and you're going to do some ribs with the kids. If you're the kid out there, make sure you take care of your dads out there. I've got a killer dad that's going to be hanging out with me today. First thing I want to do is thank the Five Star Guitars sponsor. They have been with me from the very beginning of the show. If you go to www.fivestarguitars, you can see a huge selection. You can book lessons with Jennifer Batten. You can set up repair appointments and also schedule lessons with their in-house staff as well. They've got, they just opened up on the 6th as part of the COVID-19 restrictions as a limited access store. So you can schedule your appointment ahead of time by going to fivestarguitars.com. If you have not yet gone to abductedbythe80s.com, please do. You can sign up for updates there. You'll be entered into drawings. And Abducted by the 80s presented Back to the Basement last weekend as a benefit for the COVID-19 frontline workers. So the funds that were raised by the merchandise of the event t-shirts go to the EMTs and the medical professionals, firefighters, everybody that's on the front line of the coronavirus pandemic. You can also get band shirts and masks from the bands that have performed on the event. So you can get merchandise from A Flock of Seagulls and Wang Chung and Naked Eyes, Real Life, Nelson, Escape Club, all sorts of bands. So go to www.abductedbythe80s.com. When you sign up, you'll also be entered into a drawing for some of the giveaways and be notified about this next event coming up from them called Six String Salute, which will have the best guitarists of the rock and roll industry, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Jennifer Batten, and many more. So make sure you go to www.abductedbythe80s.com. With all that being said, check this out. About almost 10 years ago, I was backstage hanging out at the Black Label Society green room at the Roseland Theater here in Portland, blown away by the next drummer that I'm going to be talking to. His style and his chops were killer, but I noticed there was personality coming off stage that was somewhat rare in the industry that we're in. I could see that this guy, he was smiling in a metal band, which was awesome. As we hung out a little bit backstage, we talked about my son Kaleb just jumping into the drums at that point. And I asked him if he had any recommendations on a fledgling young drummer. And his response was about 45 minutes of discussing the importance of practice, putting on the video games, but more importantly, being passionate about whatever you do. So whether it be skateboarding, which he was really into at that point, or even playing video games, if you're going to do it, go 100%. I've seen that in the work ethic for my guest. And so to talk about that, to talk about being a dad and all of his exploits in the last decade and more, one of my favorite drummers on the planet, thank you for being here, Chad Szeliga.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words, too.
Yeah, they're well-deserved, my friend. Are you talking to me from your front porch right now?
No, I'm in actually my basement.
Oh, yeah, man, look at that. That's a heck of a man cave.
That's the mask I just wore. We just did we've been doing like these quarantine jams.
Yeah.
And myself, Nick Coyle from a band called Lifer, and now he plays guitar for Cold. And countless others, like we had guys in Candlebox, Earshot, Filter, you name it. And we're working on a new one. So I wore a Freddy Krueger mask for the last one, Hunger Strike. So
while you were playing drums?
While I was playing drums.
Oh my God! Was it
because
the temple?
I'm balding really bad up here, so I had a camera shooting this way, and I was like, I already wore a hat for one of them, so I wanted to do something different. I was like, that mask looks comfortable to wear.
Oh man, well that's a good coronavirus protector. You're not going to get anything wearing the Freddy mask.
Like it already had coronavirus.
Was it Temple of the Dogs Hunger Strike that you did?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
I forget his name from Crowbot, but unbelievable singer.
Really? Is it video?
Yeah, you can go on YouTube and check it out. Just look up Nick Coyle, Coyle.
Okay.
And, they posted it on Blabbermouth, both songs, and then we did Take a Picture by Filter, and we had the guitar player Gino play on it, and it was kind of like surreal,
Yeah.
Here's wrote it and he's playing it with us.
Right.
That was cool.
I don't. Do you know Phil Buckman at all? Like a bass player, he played with Filter for a long time. He
No,
was
was
in.
he the one in the? Sorry, not to interrupt you, but was he in the Marines or something?
He looks like it. Yeah, he's just ripped. No, he was the guy though that was
Not the
in.
one with the Fu Manchu. It's the
Nope,
more cut guy. Yeah,
that's the guy.
he
Yeah, he was in
he seems
Hired
like a
Gun,
cool guy.
the documentary in the Hired Gun doc. Yeah, and he's in Fuel now. But yeah, well, he was on my show actually early on, and one of the reasons that I had to up my production game a little bit because he does voiceover professionally, right? So
That's right.
his
Yeah,
moneymakers like the Carl's Jr. ads, and he's got some pretty interesting stories to say about Filter, not just in the Hired Gun movie, but so
I know. I don't know him like bro, but I
yeah.
do know it's my cousin's best friend. He grew up next door to him in Bay Village.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of history with Richard.
Yeah.
I tried to get the gig. I was too young. Then the next gig opportunity, I believe Stephen Gillis was well, they were going through drummers. They had um, one of the guys that played on it. I forget his name. He kind of lasted for a little bit, as we see with Filter. There's like it's like Black Label. You could start a football team.
It's the truth. I think Phil said during his tenure, I think they had 9 drummers, if I remember right. So,
Yeah,
you know,
Jeff Babb, who plays for Black Label, I got hooked him up with that gig. So he was
really.
Filter's drummer. Yeah.
Oh my God. I haven't taken that gig yet. I mean, neither we might be the only drummers left that haven't played the Filter gig.
Yeah,
But
I'm good. I'm
yeah,
good.
we've both been in some dramatic experiences. But let's talk a little bit about your history. I mean, I knew that Breaking Benjamin was the first sort of place that you broke onto the scene, but you grew up in Pennsylvania, right?
No,
Oh no.
actually, I
All
grew
right.
up in Cleveland, Ohio. My first signed band was Switch,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
which was a band. It was like kind of in the new metal era. Uh, we, my band, and then a band called Chimera got signed around the same time in 1999,
Okay.
and when the wheels were square.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a little bit, and then I still lived in Cleveland. I've lived in PA now for about 14 years.
In Scranton, right?
Wilkes-Barre,
Oh,
we live in Shavertown now. So
okay. Right on. In Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, well, I mean, that is like where real hardworking musicians come out. I mean, you come out swinging. It's a blue collar area, right? And so the new metal thing was probably really good for, good
it was,
demographic for that
yeah,
area. Um, so you talked about Switch being the first gig that you were signed to.
yeah.
Were you playing around high school gigs? And I mean, when did you start playing?
I started drumming when I was 2.
Really?
I usually say I've only been drumming for like 6 years because it's more impressive.
Yeah, yeah. But I knew
Um,
you had a jazz background. I knew that.
yeah, a lot of people think I'm just some rock drummer, so I get called on rock gigs and rock records, but I play it all. I try to be as versatile as possible. When I did a clinic a couple of years ago at Berkeley, no pressure, it's like
Right.
you're playing in front of drummers that you can't BS your way through.
Yeah.
And the thing I told him was, you want to be as versatile as possible, because if you're doing a rock gig and you come home for that time off, you have an opportunity to go to after other styles of music if you're a hired gun.
Right.
And it's like being a carpenter and then going doing roofing and then going and doing a fence and then go do floors. The more you can bring to the table, well, the more bread and career you'll be able to have,
Sure.
So growing up jazz, my grandfather played with Tommy Dorsey playing
Oh,
trombone.
no kidding.
So I grew up on big band. There was rumors that he played with Buddy Rich here and
Oh
there.
my God.
Never got to meet him, obviously. But so big band was really big in kind of where I kind of gravitated towards at
Okay.
a very early age. But when I say I seriously started like practicing and doing it, probably about 17, 18 is when I said, I'm going to practice 8 hours a day. And I
Okay.
did.
Were you doing some formal lessons at that point too?
Yeah, I took lessons from other guys here and there. And then I still wasn't being serious. The one that, I'll have to give props to was really hard on me. He was like the white dude from Whiplash throwing chairs.
Yeah.
He kicked me off a drum stool and tried to fight me and stuff.
What?
Yeah, literally. He's like, if you don't have your lesson, we're gonna fight in the parking lot. And I was like, what?
God.
Okay. But his name was Neil Smith. Not to throw him under the bus, but
No, but
I needed that ass whipping because I was arrogant, but I was already ahead of the game with a lot of, ahead of drummers. And I was just blessed to have that talent. Well, it got to my brain. I was like, I don't need to practice. Why am I even taking more drum lessons? And I studied with a student that was about to graduate out of Oberlin College and in jazz studies. And I wanted to be a jazz drummer. So I took jazz lessons with him. And first lesson, dude, my mind was like, why am I even taking lessons? He's going to want to study with me. And he's like, play me something. I said, oh, wow, I'm going to blow his mind. Literally that mentality.
yeah.
And he kicked me. Excuse my French, but he says, don't you ever play that white boy shit in my room again. And I went, oh, this is going to be a long day.
Wake up call, man.
He really made me into the drummer I am today, for work ethics and dedication and hunger, kind of like what I was telling your son. It's like you got to really want it.
Yeah.
The best.
There's a lot more that goes into becoming a successful musician than just the dedication, the time, the practice, right?
Absolutely.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I know that my son talked about that early on. Before he started playing drums, he was a guitarist, and so he took some lessons. And I mentioned I was playing with Jennifer Batten, and he said, "Well, I could study with her, but I'd rather play something easy like drums." Like, oh, okay. And then as he started, getting pretty accomplished on drums, his dad's a drummer. He's not going to listen to me, right? So I would try to show him some stuff, but Neil Peart was God to him, right? So Rush was all he wanted to listen to. And I was of the Bonham school, right? I wanted to feel it more than think about it. So we had a lot of, it was conversations that we'd have back and forth. And as his dad, he's not going to listen to me, but he got really good really fast by studying a lot of the prog guys. Matt Gartzka is another, he's a huge fan of Matt Gartzka. And so Animals as Leaders, he's really into that. And, but then he was talking in a cocky sort of 17-year-old way, going to LA, making it big. He was going to go to MI. And he had, for those of you that don't know, Musicians Institute, the big, in Los Angeles, it's the school that sort of helps prepare, students for a wide variety of experiences. But I told him, you've got the chops for 99% of the rock gigs out there. What you really need to learn is the hang, and the personal connections that you can make with someone are so important, at least half as important as the music, if not more, right? So you had the early formation of the studying, the education, but now tell me about band experiences. I mean, you got kicked off the drum throne, right? But then tell me about early band experiences. If you went in thinking you were that arrogant into lessons, I'm guessing you might have been a difficult band member to be with too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I really wasn't. I mean, I was in bands here and there, and like my first band I was in, I think I was 13. I was playing in clubs. Like my parents had to get me in to play.
Yeah.
But I think how they say, if what you know now, would you do it differently if you could go back? And I wouldn't, because it made me who I am, and it made me appreciate and really thank the man above for the talent than just myself, because I can't do it myself. I think, like I always say this, we're all blessed equally, just differently. There's no better, there's no worse drummer out there. And it's funny that you kind of hit it on the head about feel compared to technique. Technique is great. It's a tool.
Yeah.
You don't need technique to pound a nail with a hammer. You just got to know how to connect. And sometimes that technique can go, oh, well, I hit it at a 40-degree angle and I should have hit it. It's not nerd math, okay? I mean, I've never been into the prog aspect. I've been into James Brown and Tower of
Mm,
Power. I loved Rush. I grew up on Rush. Uh, rest in peace, Neil. I mean,
right.
that was a tragedy, definitely an icon loss. But
Yeah.
um, there was things that everyone followed Neil. But
Right.
so when you started getting more mature, Neil kind of went over here, but you still respected him.
Right.
Then you got into your other drummers, like I got into Stuart Copeland and
Yeah.
Will Calhoun and Greg Bisonet and Manu Cachet and Tony Williams and Art Blakey and all these people.
Right.
Um, but back to the arrogance, I realized that there is someone always better than you.
Right.
All you're
Always.
so what you want to compete is to against yourself, because that's who your nemesis should be, is yourself. uh, Inside and out, like talent and personality. And you basically hit the nail on the head with that. Um, is personality is more important than talent 9 times out of 10.
Right.
If you're a cool person off and on court, people will want to work with you. Whether you can play like Dennis Chambers or you play like, Brad Wilk, where it's just pocket.
Right.
They want to be around someone 24/7. You're going to be on a bus.
Right.
Be cool. No one cares if you're a good drummer. I
Right.
will repeat that. No one cares if you're really a good drummer and you got the chops and you could play 30-second notes and blah, blah, blah. All they care about is he playing the right part for the song? And when you get into the prog stuff, that's a different cup of tea. It's still structured, but when you're playing pop or rock, or it's a structured thing, so you can't just play a bunch of licks.
Right.
And you have to learn to build it like a 3-layer cake. You don't blow your wad basically on the first verse. You take your time and go up that roller coaster, let it scare you, and then drop it. So it's just all these learning experiences that really have made me who I am today. People are like, how'd you get this style? And I go, I don't know. All I can say is pointing up,
Yeah.
like a lot of practice, a lot of heartache, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of things that were unjust in my career.
Sure.
And you want to get justice, but the way you get justice is you kill them with kindness. You rise above it and you get bigger.
Man, it's funny when I think about some of these conversations, there are bullet points that somebody could extract from each conversation that were, memorable points that you kind of want to footnote and say, okay, good memories to have, good lessons to learn. I remember this about you the first time talking to you, that I felt like you come away with an education about your
Yeah.
experience. And I always feel like you communicate that way, that you give some gratitude for some opportunities that were given to you. You appreciate the fact that you've earned what you've gotten as well. And I don't think you take anything for granted. I really don't. I think it seems to me that you, along the way, you talked about some of the heartache and some of the things that were unjust. You want to talk about an early heartache for you that was kind of a building block to develop some thick skin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what I think? Like
Yeah.
which one? I think the Breaking Ben was a hard pill to swallow. Because I quit. I couldn't do it anymore. Uh, I left because of creative differences. The
You want to talk about, well, how did you get the gig in the first place?
um. Well, believe it or not, I was working in a factory, 12 hours, and then commuting on the weekends, playing a place called Put-in Bay, and taking a ferry and playing 8 hours a day for the weekends, and then going back and doing my job. And right after Switch, my first signed band, I built a rapport with all these different endorsements over my career with Switch that I built friendships with. And, you know, I would call them sporadically, then I would call them a couple weeks, then it would be a week, and be like, hey man, if there's any drummer that that's lost a gig, please mention my name. They're like, dude, you're a killer drummer, you're a killer guy, you'll find something, I know you will. and I
This
just
is this
prayed.
is that's after Switch.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
went right to a factory after playing in front of, 20,000 people on Ozfest.
God.
It was a humbling experience, and it's been humbling my whole life in my career. It's been like almost like the Donald Trump going bankrupt 4 times and then coming back again and then coming back again and then coming. So failure doesn't really compute in my head because I don't consider me getting me leaving a band or me getting fired from a band is hurting my credibility. It just builds me a thicker skin to go, okay,
Yeah.
next. What do
Right.
I got to do? I can't cry about it because if I cry, it's going to make me not want to put my energy into that right focus of motivating myself to get out of that basement. Um, so the Breaking Benjamin was probably the hardest one because Ben and I had a little, well, we didn't have a little, we had a pretty big blowout in my basement. And I basically told him, shove it where the sun don't shine. And I said some hurtful words. And I think it was 8 years, almost 9 years of my career with him that I tolerated it and
9
I couldn't
years.
take anymore. And I think we were young and dumb at that time. I mean, I had so much animosity towards him that I put that smile on and play my show because I love the fans. I love everybody. But why are we fighting? We're on the same football team. Where did it get to this point? It's not fun anymore. And I promised myself I wouldn't do it for money.
Okay.
I promised myself I'd do it to make people inspired and want to be a drummer
Yeah.
and minister basically on the drum set.
Yeah.
And I just left. So I left everything, one of the biggest rock bands out there. And I said, if I could do it, anybody could do it. I mean, if you're really that almost like lost in the dark, get out of it.
Yeah.
I always, one of my best friends, Zoltan Chaney, amazing drummer.
Yeah, he is.
He gives me always food for thought. It's such great knowledge too, biblical knowledge. And he would always say, if you're in a dark room, completely dark, pitch black, all you have to do is light one candle and it will change the mood. If you can be that candle in a dark setting, then you're changing the mood. But they will put out that candle because they like it dark.
Mm.
And a lot of that consumes me. I'm a happy guy. I'm privileged. I'm humbled. I'm honored and blessed to do what I do. But then there's sometimes I feed off of that person and that darkness consumes me.
I bet.
And you kind of go in that dark part because they don't want you to be happy.
Right.
They want you to be miserable like them. And they get really upset that you love yourself and you love who you are and what you do and the accomplishments you have. And this person is jealous.
Yeah.
And I've come across that a lot. And it's like, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. It's like, I don't think of what I'm going to play. I just play.
You bet.
John Bonham, when he played Fool in the Rain, isn't like, okay, I'm going to dot the hi-hat
Right.
and then open it up on that and then play like the, Purdy shuffle, but I'm going to feather the kick on. He just felt it.
Right. That's true. Yeah. You know what's really interesting, that parallel that you just talked about, Dave Aberzees and I back in amazing. And personality-wise, he's very similar, right? He was the light in the room, the candle. I got to meet Dave early on in his career, right when he joined the band.
Nice.
Worked with him a little bit. He became a really great friend. Spent a lot of time with him at his place in Seattle. And when he was let go from the band, it was devastating to him for sure, and to me as a friend of his. And seeing the dynamic that was happening in that band, it was very much that way. He was the gregarious, outgoing extrovert. When we would be out together at his shows backstage, he got a lot of grief for being the guy that would be friendly to people that weren't in the close circle. It wasn't cool to be friends with, fans or whatever. When
Yep.
he'd do an interview with Modern Drummer, he'd get in trouble for doing interviews, right? Because it was just,
Clinics.
yeah, exactly. And it ended up costing him the gig, and really his spirit, he really went through a dark time. And to this day, the band was inducted in the Hall of Fame last year, right up the road from your hometown. Didn't invite him there, and it still it's a reminder to him that being a candle in the room is a really difficult thing to get lit. And he's retreated back into the rainforests of Indonesia right now.
That hurts me because I took a lot from Dave Aberzigas.
Yeah, me too.
Like how he hits the bell. I
Yeah,
stole that.
yeah,
Literally stole that, and I did in like Dance with the Devil and You and all these different things. Dave, when I saw him unplugged, Pearl Jam on
yeah,
unplugged MTV, I was blown away. Now I didn't do my research and know that he didn't play on 10,
right.
but what he brought to that record,
Yeah,
uncanny. And I'll tell you, I love Matt Cameron.
yeah, of
I love
course.
Cameron. I like him in Soundgarden.
Yeah, doesn't work in Pearl Jam.
It sounds like he's saying, you got to play like this.
Yeah,
Just play me a backbeat. Don't
right,
go off. Don't do any splash work, anything
right.
like that. Dave brought a dynamic to that band that no one has done. Jack Irons, good drummer, but
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like, even Vitology, I kind of lost it because it sounded like Dave was going like this.
yeah. But Versus had it going on for sure.
Versus was great.
Yeah, big time, man. I mean, that was where he got to shine, and people know that. And drummers know that the band changed in sort of a global appreciation because of what he brought to the band. And again, a lot of that had to do with personality. Anybody that would go to the show would see this thing with Dave the same way that I saw that with you when I saw you with Black Label. People, we have to admit, right? People would go to see Black Label because of Zach Wild, man, and he.
Absolutely.
But when you get there, past the headdress and everything else, man, you'd see this candle lit up with you. And it's great that Zoltan gave you that analogy. I think you probably already recognized that in yourself, long ago. It's a difficult thing. I've been there too,
It's
man.
hard.
I've been
It's
told.
hard spiritually, and I don't drink, I don't do drugs.
Amen.
So I'm already the cast out
Right.
that is going to, burn you to, and set you on fire. And not that kind of Bible thumper. I keep my spirituality to myself.
Yeah.
It's to me. If you want to talk about it, I'll spend all day and all night about it.
Yeah.
But you're going to hell and this and that. And I think that scares a lot of people. But I feel like, as Zoltan has told me, is certain people have tasks when you have your faith. And my task is to be that candle. Now, if you're a Christian, you will understand that Christ went through a lot of different obstacles to die on a cross for us, whipped, beat, spit on, stabbed, made fun of, this and that. Because why? He was the Son of God and came there with love. He didn't come out there arrogant and be like, bow down to me, bitches. Nothing like that. He came and just showed love.
Right.
And love will overcome everything.
Yeah.
There's people that have been really cruel to me and call me up out of the blue and go, I'm so sorry. You were right.
Yeah.
And if you get that gratitude, and no matter what happened to Dave, there's always two sides of every story.
Sure.
But when I watched Dave play, he looked happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the truth. Yeah. Well, that's his happy place, right? I mean, that when you walk on stage, it transcends everything, right? It's like you can let go of anything going on at home. You can let go of, politics and bills and, any kind of like, crappy job that you may have worked during the day or whatever. So I think a lot of drummers are probably watching this show right now. My buddies, especially, that have been fans of yours. You talk about overcoming some of this heartache. The personality conflicts that happen with a band they're inherent in every single band, right? So you spent 9 years in a really difficult position in Breaking Benjamin. You walked away. Tell me about the resolution. Like what did you do to sort of repair that heartache and prepare yourself for the next step?
I mean, I was, having faith. I was scared. That's where it really shows your faith. It's like God's got something better for you. And I was like, maybe it's the end of my career. And I was like, it can't be.
Right.
I don't feel even to this day yet that my time has come yet. And I've done so much in my life, but I don't feel that it's there just yet.
Okay.
Because I keep trying to get better. I practice all the time still. I don't do it religiously because there's no point of me doing it. If I'm going to practice, I'm going to practice what I got to practice.
Cool.
And that's it. I mean, us playing drums, jamming to a lick or this or that is not practicing. It's something that's challenging your brain, and you're taking sticks and throwing them at the wall. That's how you get better.
Okay.
So that's what I do through what I was going through after the Ben thing. It was hard for me to get a gig. I don't know. I'm not saying Ben blacklisted me or blackballed me in the industry, but it took me like 4 years to get an actual gig.
Really? Yeah. Did you do auditions?
I had opportunities like 6 a.m. and all that, and then all of a sudden it fell through. And then I was like, this is weird. And then Ben's on 6 a.m. or Nikki Sixx's podcast. And I was like,
yeah.
But I'm not saying he did it. It was just
sure.
a weird coincidence. But again, with that breakup, people would give up their career.
Sure.
Yes, please. That's my wife.
Hi, wife.
What's great wife, Heather.
Heather. Well, I think, that you just got married a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
Congratulations, man. That's right.
Our anniversary is the 3rd of July. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, happy early anniversary. And hopefully you're getting spoiled a little bit for Father's Day today.
I always get spoiled. So every day is Father's Day to me. I just, you got to look at the way life is right now with the COVID.
Yeah.
None of us are working.
Right.
Really, it hasn't changed for me because I'm doing a lot of studio session stuff I'm working more on this COVID than I ever did, which is weird to me, but super blessed for it and honored for it. But when you break up from a band, it's a heartache.
Yeah.
These are your bros. And you thought were your bros, and you're like, why would they do this to me? Why would they treat me like this? And I look back at the past sometimes when you're not really supposed to, but I do, just to see where it went wrong or what I said or what that person said and how I see. The problem with Ben and I was Ben wanted to write drum parts.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everybody wants to write drums, but I can't play guitar.
Right.
But I'll sing you a guitar part, but I am not a guitar player. Well, you're not a drummer if you program.
Right.
I want to see you play that.
Yeah.
And so what gives a lead singer or anybody how they think the drum should sound when that's my instrument? That's like telling a NASCAR driver that's a doctor going, you gotta draft right when that car, it's like, yeah, I know that, dude. This is what I do for a living. Yeah. It's a control issue, is what I've learned over the years.
Sure.
It's a control issue and an insecurity. And my mom has always said this: don't hate the person, hate the sin.
Oh, yeah.
Strong word. I don't hate anybody.
Yeah.
But I hate the things they've done.
In the moment, it's hard, right? To be able to overlook that and recognize. And you also touched on something that's key for me. I think, well, first of all, we've all been through situations where a band dynamic has gone wrong and there's a lot of resentment that goes into that. I know for me, man, it's a huge character defect. I held on to resentment for so many things for so long that it was a crutch. It really affected the way that I approached new things because I was guarded. Right. I was like, it's almost like PTSD, or you've got some kind of like victim mentality. And then I really, it's just been something in the last few years where I've recognized my part in whatever happened. Even if, there were some unjust things that you talked about. I recognize, there is a common denominator in at least things that I did. And so I'm not saying that for you. For me, it was a tough pill to swallow to realize, okay, yeah, there's some stuff that I got to work on. And even every time now that I get in a situation where it's tumultuous, there's coming, there's, when you're on the road, man, it's exhausting. You guys, sleep is not good. Everybody's at sort of heightened tensions. And so being able to recognize, not to hate the person, hate the sin, even recognizing that maybe what was going on in their position that day may have just been, for something else that happened that had nothing to do with you, right? That's tough
Right.
to recognize and be able to just overlook it and say, okay, personality wise, you talked about, you mentioned Christ and the way that, he overcame the hatred and
Yeah.
I think about any sort of spiritual figure in history that way. I mean, you think of Gandhi, right? Gandhi basically just gave his entire life in order to promote positivity and spirit and love and kindness. And a lot of those, Mother Teresa, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. I mean, those are all those characters.
That's a great movie.
Amazing. And you look at that, somebody that is so selfless, right? Those are, for me, those are huge. My Mount Everest sort of goals to get to a point where I can recognize the beauty in everyone, even people that may have quote unquote wronged me. And so when I think about band situations, there are some times where I've had to go back and apologize for saying, wow, you know what? I was an asshole. You know what, man, my feelings were hurt. And because my feelings were hurt, I lashed out in a way. When you had this experience with Ben and you recognized that, man, I was being controlled, I was being sort of forced by insecurities to behave a certain way, and I didn't want it anymore. So I walked away. And I asked you how you prepared yourself, how you thickened up your skin, how you got out there. And you mentioned it was tough to get another gig. 4 years is a long time to go after this thing and still have belief in yourself and faith that you were put on this planet to play drums.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a beautiful thing to have your faith to be able to rely on it and really help support you. Did you continue to just go out there? Were you pounding the pavement? Were you working your contacts, or what? How did it happen for you to move forward?
It was just a lot of praying, going, when it's meant to be, it is meant to be. I mean,
Okay.
that, as cliche as that sounds, it was like, and all of a sudden I had a traumatizing experience. And I had a friend that wasn't a Christian. He was an atheist. And all of a sudden, in this part of my story of this, I had to finally bury the hatchet of hatred towards Ben.
Okay.
And I can't help others if I can't help myself.
Yeah. Put on your oxygen mask, baby. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had to heal, because I really loved Breaking Ben. I loved what I put into that band, and I was never a member. They never made me a member of the band.
Really?
And yeah, it was a really hard thing to digest, because it was like, I'm in all the videos.
Yeah.
I'm in all the album covers, the thank yous, everything. Right. They just didn't want to treat me like a member. I guess they didn't think I paid my dues enough, or they don't think I deserved it, or whatever.
No publishing?
Kind of hurt me, because these are my bros. And I was like, why am I not getting treated like the other guys?
Right.
I toured this band, mind you, when the record was only gold for We're Not Alone. I was still playing clubs. We were not arenas like the new band. They just jumped into a multi-platinum band and was like, arenas, sold out shows. I put in the work. So I was like, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I'm like, I have faith. Why are these darts being thrown at me? Well, guess what? Just because you have faith doesn't mean anything. It's just a test. It's a test to show you. You can preach all you want, Chad, to all these people, but when it comes to you, how do you handle it?
Right.
So it just all hit me in my face, and I was like, all right, I got to end this. If I got to help this guy and preach to him, I got to help myself. So I
Okay.
helped myself. He got saved and then died 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was-
Literally, like, it all happened on the way he got saved was he wanted to learn how to do a 6-stroke roll. And he was an amazing drummer. And he just wanted to learn a 6-stroke roll. And I was going to teach it to him, but I didn't have the time because my car had to get a checkup or something, like an
Yeah.
oil check. And they canceled my appointment that day and said, we'll push it another day. And I was like, great. And that conversation happened after that all happened.
No kidding. Wow.
So when people are like, I don't believe in God and this, trust me, I was that guy.
Yeah.
It's real. You just have to be a candle or be that dark room and let him be your candle.
Nice.
You will see things that you can never explain. And faith is here. It's not here.
Sure.
See, everyone has a brain, but sometimes this brain can destroy everything that this was made for.
Sure.
And that goes to drumming. It's all about feel, isn't it? It's here and here, not here and not here. It's all ears and soul.
Yeah.
When you start using the brain, you go, oh, I hit a rem. Oh, I played this a little ahead of the beat. If your body is telling you to play like that, you play like that because that's your instinct. Again, there's no wrong and there is no right way to play drums.
Sure.
So was a learning thing, and I think I can speak on all drummers and all musicians and all people in the world. We all criticize somebody. Everybody.
Human nature, for sure.
Human nature, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's got big teeth.
Yeah.
Well, that's an insult. How would you
Right.
like that being done to you? Chad,
Right.
you have a yarmulke for up here. Those are insulting words. So when you see a drummer on YouTube and he's not that great, first thing, oh, he sucks. Then you have people that say so many insulting things. This guy's about to commit suicide that you
Yeah.
don't know how bad words can really hurt.
That's true.
Sharp knives and machine guns.
Yeah.
And how many bullets you want to spit out. Some person might not have that bulletproof vest to wear.
Yeah.
So the thing that I've learned over the years is if you want to make fun of somebody, you have to play like them. If you cannot play exactly like that person, you can't make fun of them. Whether you're advanced or whether you're beginner, you got to play like him. And it's some intermediate guy that you think is horrible. You've got to emulate him. And if you can't, then there's a reason he is playing the way he's playing. And there's something great about that.
Cool.
And I try to find the greatness out of every person.
Sure.
But then I think it's overwhelming when you take in a bunch of drama.
Yeah.
And drama follows me like a Kardashian, show.
You thrive on some of that?
I thrive.
Dude, me too.
Drama.
Yeah.
But it's like you almost take it in and then you have to spit it out later and try to that person.
Yeah.
But in the hard run of the whole part of the story is when you get into their drama and you start adding more fuel to the fire, it comes back to haunt you.
Right.
If, for instance, oh, this guy's talking about this guy, so you're like, yeah, he's a mean guy. Then he becomes his friend again, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then the bus, you're like, I'm done. I'm done with this crap. So the things I've learned with someone telling me how to play drums, I always was like, who are you to tell me? Like, you don't have any clue what you're talking about. And I always didn't want to be like chauvinistic about it, but a teacher, but no one would let me teach them. So I would get hurt by it. And I would just say, shut up, you do your job. I'll do mine.
Yeah.
Now I allow the singer or whoever's writing the song to have a vision. Send me the drums. I'll listen to your idea. And then let's meet halfway. Let's play your version and I'll play my version. And let's see what you like. Do you like my verse better than your verse? So you're winning both ways. You're teeter-tottering,
Sure.
seesaw. It's not like it's my part, because we're drummers and we're married
Right.
to our art.
Right.
We don't get much. We don't get much publishing because it's wipeout drum beat.
Right.
But again, you know, there's many things I've done with Break and Bend I never got compensated for. And the crazy thing is, whether I played a drum beat made you write that riff, you can't move furniture into a house if you can't frame it first.
Right. Right. Good
So
metaphor.
you're a part of a team.
Sure.
Whether I block for your quarterback, whether I'm the running back, or whether I'm the quarterback, we are all on the same team. So
Sure.
helping you, you got to help me.
You bet.
And I think a lot of that is getting, you're a drummer, you just hit things for a living, you can't copyright a drum beat. Well, guess what? If I play the fill in the air tonight, people will be like, oh, Chad stole it in the air tonight.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about Highway to Hell drum beat. I'm
Right.
talking about drummers that actually play iconic parts.
Sure.
You know, Dave Aberzies,
Yeah.
when he puts flashes in even flow.
Right.
When I hear that, it doesn't have the same vibe.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You know? So to me, a drummer makes or breaks a band. You could have the greatest band in the world and a bad drummer. You have a bad band.
Yeah.
You have an okay band, but a great drummer. You have a great band.
So many good metaphors, man. I'm loving this. I'm thinking about some of the other bands that came then after. So I would imagine after that much time and heartache with Breaking Benjamin that a new project that you might get into, especially after having a 4-year hiatus, imagine kind of guarded, protective of your spirit a little bit. Was Black Label the next gig to come along for you?
Oh, yeah. So I was already in Black Label while I was doing Break and Bend.
Really? Okay.
That's what made me say,
Gotcha.
Other band, it's called Black Label. Get out of my house.
Gotcha.
That's basically part of the conversation.
Okay.
And I was like, one, you're not going to treat me like I'm a slave anymore because I'm already in the band. So I'm not worried about losing my job with you because you're on hiatus right now and nothing's happening. And I left right when Mark and Aaron got supposedly fired and sued and all this crap. And there's a bigger part of that story that one day I might write in a book.
Wow.
But a lot of people hated Mark and Aaron. A lot of people hated me. And you cannot say you hate me or you hate them because you don't know what it's like to be in our shoes.
Right.
See what the world perceives on Facebook or Instagram or any of that telephone crap.
Right.
Once this, then someone tells this, then someone makes this story even bigger. You know, that's why I go by that golden rule: love your enemy.
Yeah, man.
This rule to do.
It is hard.
If you can do that, you could do anything. And that's my mountain I got to climb every day. It's like someone hits your car. Are you all right? You know, and I just want to make sure your family's okay. The guy's going to be like, no, dude, I hit you. I was out of my mind. I was texting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you know, that it's interesting that you mentioned that. Actually, in my neighborhood last year, I guess it was just over a year ago, this woman came around the corner. She had multiple sclerosis, could hardly see. Her eyes were all droopy, and she was on her.
Sorry, not to interrupt you. Yeah. I might have to call you back. Someone was trying to call me.
Okay.
And every time it does, the volume goes down.
Oh, okay.
So can I call you right back?
Of course.
Or will it mess up everything?
No, you're good. Call me back. I'll thank my sponsor.
Or you call me back. Or can you do that?
I can't. No, you
right,
just.
I'll call you right back.
That sounds good. Thank you. Hey guys, while Chad
to get off this thing.
While Chad takes a break here for a second to call me back, I want you guys to know that tomorrow at this time, when we log back into All Access Live, I'm going to have amazing producer Chuck Alkazian from Pearl Sound Studio in Detroit. Chuck is he's worked with Eminem, Soundgarden, and
we got it.
You got it?
Yeah, but I have my life. Oh, okay.
All right. I was just mentioning that my guest tomorrow at this time is going to be Chuck Alkazian, producer out of Detroit. Amazing producer. I don't know if you've worked with him at all, but
Uh-uh.
he worked with Soundgarden,
But he did
Eminem.
Soundgarden. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Corey Glover did Corey Glover's most recent project. He's done so many
Doing
artists.
Quarantine Jam with him.
Are you doing one with Corey? Oh my God, man, one of the greatest singers. You talked to Will Calhoun earlier, man. Corey
I
Glover.
played with Corey for like a second. I had a gig with him.
Really?
Dude, he's one of my favorite singers. And we were playing Call the Personality at rehearsal. It was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was smiling from ear to ear. Due to, low attendance, we had to cancel. So I never got to play with him.
No, darn.
That's another band that's iconic.
Yeah.
That really never got to the success, like almost like a King's X.
Right. Same.
You could still listen to Call the Personality today.
Yeah.
And it still is awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, that first record is in my top 10 of all time favorite records, man. And, you could say the same about those King's X records, those iconic, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. And man, like all three of those guys, like amazing musicians, but it's crazy that you could take phenomenal musicians like that and still have them be the whole being greater than the sum of its parts, right? Because
still have a good song.
When you put those members together into an ensemble, then the band is even that much bigger. And hey, Heather, thanks for the coffee.
Thank you, honey.
You've got, yeah, man, you should be getting spoiled today. And this is awesome. So you mentioned the Black Label was already happening when you split from Breaking Ben. How long did you do Black Label gig?
I want to say 2 or 3 years. I did Catacombs of the Black Vatican, that record.
Okay.
And then I did called The Acoustic Unplugged Unblackened,
okay.
which we were shooting live, streamed on Access TV.
Sweet.
That band, all class acts.
Yeah, really. Zach good guy to work with.
Such a great guy.
I love hearing that.
Say one bad. I couldn't say anything bad about him. He was the nicest guy I've ever worked for.
Really? No kidding. Any like standout memorable experiences of touring with them?
Yeah, he he told me I was too good looking for the band and I need to dig up my lawn. So I grew out my hair and grew a beard.
Oh my God.
And people were like, "Oh, there's no way Chad's gonna play with that band. He doesn't look like a biker." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, he pulls it off." He's a good.
You had
and
to
that's
do
kind of what you have to do when you're a hired gun. It's like it's not just drumming; it's a whole lifestyle that you've got to fit in.
Right.
With that look.
Yeah. God, so that was just a couple of years. But then Zach, I know that he kept working with Ozzy off and on, right? So was that kind of taking up more of his time and less opportunities to go on tour with Black Label?
With Zach, he's such a talented musician and versatile that he can go out of Black Label, do Ozzy, do Zach Sabbath, do the Jimi Hendrix experience, do another thing, do this, do a cruise ship, play acoustic. Right. He's always working.
Yeah.
And he did that a lot. So we had time off and stuff. And I came to the realization that, that you're only going to be as big in that band. Iconic guy, but demographic wise.
Sure.
And then when I got offered to do the Scott Stapp gig, Jeff was, in dire need of a gig, and he wasn't doing that well with Filter. And I was like, dude, he did me a solid when I was going through some hard times.
Okay.
From a previous marriage, and I couldn't get to Brazil. So he did me a solid and filled in, who was terrified, mind you. He's like, dude, I don't want to do this gig. I'm like, trust me, dude, they're the nicest guys, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with the guys and loved it. And then I went back to Black Label and brought him in, and then went to Scott Stapp. Obviously we know how that worked out. And then I played with Adrenaline Mob, and I left Adrenaline Mob right before the wreck. So I was like,
wow,
counting my blessings, because that would have been me. and
Oh
then
my,
tried accident.
I forgot about that. Was tour bus.
Yeah,
Oh
it was
my,
RV. Yeah,
what was that? A Humvee?
an RV.
An RV, right. Band was on tour though. They got in the accident
Yep.
and several fatalities.
Yeah, that was a great friend of mine.
Wow.
Um, who I was in a band with called M80, which was like a cover band.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of cover band stuff too through these up and down finding gigs.
Sure.
I played with this guy named Mike LeComp out of Philly, who's like a local hero. And dude, I was making more money with him than I was in a sign band. And then
Right.
I started to realize, wait a minute, I can go home every day. I don't get to play originals per se, but I can still play drums.
Sure.
Ways of making a living and still being able to provide for your family, but being creative and clever at how you do it.
Sure.
Um, Fame to me, bro, isn't being a rock star and buying Ferraris. Fame to me is being content with what you have and what you are content with in your career.
Sure.
Rock star is a fake cliche insecurity name to say I'm nobody, but because I'm in Breaking Ben, I'm cool now.
Sure. Oh my
So
God. Do you know Nate Morton at all? Have you met Nate?
I don't, but I love him, and he's good friends with Zoltan now.
He is. He is. Yep. Like
So the real deal.
he is. He's one of my dearest friends. I call that guy.
Is he?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've done a couple episodes on here, and we've been great friends for 15 years.
Awesome guy.
But
Great drummer.
he talks about that very thing. He got the perfect gig. He's doing The Voice every day, where he gets to go home to his place north of LA every day to his family. He doesn't have to be on tour, but he's on the biggest show on TV, and
He
yeah,
rightly deserves it too.
he does, man. He's earned everything he's got.
Yep.
I realized that I've been in a reflection light. Sorry about this for a second.
Yeah, mine too. I have like this like line in my forehead, so it's not like it's plastic where I got like plastic surgery.
We all get a pass during the COVID times, right? To have crazy set stuff,
Yeah,
but
gray hair and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, man, the quarantine cut is looking good though. You like somebody's been able to keep you high and tight up here, which is good.
Yeah, it's called push it to the side, almost the lawyer side.
Comb over the
Yeah, the come over. Yeah.
Hey man, I am so post Adrenaline Mob. Then you went on. So tell me about the Black Star Riders, because this band is crazy, dude. It's such a great. It's a hard rock band, huge hooks. There are songs. You got like a Thin Lizzy vibe to like a classic, iconic vibe, but the band is still so good. I love
Yeah.
that band. And so, when did you start playing with them?
It was kind of crazy because, I mean, I could spend 9 more hours telling you how I got the Black Label gig and blah, 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 blah. But in a nutshell, the Thin Lizzy gig, basically, when I was in Black Label, Thin Lizzy opened up Black Label and then Judas Priest.
Oh wow!
When I got the Black Star Riders gig, which is AK Thin Lizzy, we just toured with Judas Priest. And
Oh
now I'm in the band.
wow!
So it's like, here I see the band I'm supposed to be in, but I don't know about it.
Right.
And here I am, 3.5 years into this band
Okay.
already.
Wow.
And the manager would watch me warm up in the dressing room, like open up the door, and because he's a drummer.
Okay.
And he would open the door and kind of spy on and see what I was doing and then close it. And my name just got brought up in the conversation, and I was already doing a record. I was a ghost drummer, which I'm not a big fan of doing those things.
Sure.
I don't think it's fair to the drummer, but gig's a gig. So
Yep.
I was doing that, and I get a phone call, and they're like, hey, how would you like to audition for Black Star Riders? And I was like, yeah, I'm actually looking for a gig, but I'm doing a session right now. And he's like, well, we want to fly you tomorrow to audition for the band in LA. And I go, here's the deal. I don't see my family very often, and it's a very special day. It's Easter, and I need to spend it with my son. So I can't, but I can send you a video. And that's kind of what I did at my parents' house. I had my wife shoot on a camcorder like I did with the Breaking Benjamin, but it was a VHS. So I definitely got him something more with technology. And, I was learning the songs as I was playing them, and I had like 15 minutes and I'm like, oh, this is terrible.
Wait a
I,
minute. All right, so let me just back up for a second. This is a really good thing for drummers that are trying to audition for gigs and learn about how to get these gigs. So, you established your boundary earlier on. You said, like, man, family's really important to me. So, first and foremost, they know ahead of time that family is the most important. But you offered them something in return. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to get you guys a videotaped audition. How do you go about preparing? Did they give you a list of songs that they wanted you to prep?
yeah, now that's a great question. So what I like to do nowadays is if you're doing an audition, you got to look at it like going for a job interview. Don't show up when they tell you. Show up 15 minutes early.
Right.
Always 15 minutes early. Why?
Okay.
Because it shows you taking the initiative to care for that company.
Okay.
So if someone says learn 3 songs, learn 5 or 6.
All right.
Because if you're on an audition, we'll just talk about like a live audition. If you're there playing and the 3 songs are slamming and they're like, yo, bro, do you know this song? Learn it, because they might throw it at you and you
Yeah.
might them going, wow, he
Yeah.
even knows that song. And then when I do an audition, I learn the live version and I learn the record version.
Okay.
So whatever they throw at me, I can always be prepared. Always be 115% prepared.
Look at you, Boy Scout. That's awesome. Good advice, man.
A
So,
lot of heartache, but it got
well,
me there.
so you, what you gave them then? Did you give them alternate versions? Here's the studio version.
No, I gave them the record version because those songs weren't technically, one of them were still, just the record just came out,
Okay.
and the drummer played them differently every night. Great drummer,
Yeah.
but just played them differently every night. So it was hard to find a live version that was very consistent to
Okay.
what that song was. So every night was different. So I was like, I'll just do the record version. But the thing, when I learn a song, now we'll just talk about how I prep for that, or even, a recording, or I got to learn 20 songs in a day. I don't learn drums.
Okay.
I learn everybody's parts,
Arrangements and
arrangements, guitar parts, vocal melodies, bass parts. Why? Because if I'm on the gig and I get the gig and my in-ears blow out, I've done this literally by singing the melody in my head when I couldn't hear the band at all.
right on.
Arena.
Yeah.
Because then you're taking the initiative of understanding the song, not just the drum part.
Right.
And when you can know the song inside and out, that means the drum part just kind of flows right in, because you know how to play drums.
Sure.
You might not play every fill like it is on the record. I don't think anyone does, but trying to play those beats is what they're looking for.
Sure. Yeah.
And a reasonable within a reasonable thinking of, don't go way over the fill and try to play some gospel chops when it's not chop,
right.
But play something in the vein of what the drummer did.
Okay.
If it's an iconic hook like a Diarrhea Jane where I hit the 2 splashes,
yeah,
you kind of have to play that.
Sure.
But other than that, like a fill and a Diarrhea Jane going into the chorus, you do whatever you want.
That's cool. I know that you've got cool breakdowns of that particular song as well on YouTube. So I would imagine, because you've got a lot of material on a YouTube, you probably have a really wide network of people that you stay in touch with on social media. Yeah.
I do, and here's my thing about social media. I hate it.
Yeah.
But I love it.
There's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it's like a love-hate-love kind of relationship with me. I don't think being subscribed, followers, all that kind of stuff makes you who you are.
Sure.
You see all these people on YouTube and they got millions and millions of subscribers and they make tons of money, but it doesn't make me who I am. I mean, there's so many good drummers out there, dude, that I watch on YouTube every day.
Yeah.
Have 12 views.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a guy that has production up the wazang and it's 12 million views.
Right.
But it's not as good.
It's funny that you mentioned that sponsorships. You've worked with endorsements for a long time. That is a big thing for them, right? They want to see. They don't care so much that you've got even great personality or tons of chops. They just want to know that you've got that many subscribers, and that's for them. I understand the marketing part of things. That you're trading your brand for their brand, essentially. You're
I don't
offering it.
like it though.
Well,
Um,
that's an
I
unfortunate thing.
dislike it.
that
I
that's that is the whole kind of hype behind social media, and that's the part that dislike, right? The love hate love thing. There's a balance. For me, I love having the opportunity to connect with people via social media in this time when we're stuck in the pandemic, right?
Yeah, like right now.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
we've been
Yeah,
talking so long, and
totally.
Facebook hooks that up. But
Yeah,
like all these rants about rioting, and
yeah.
if we didn't have Facebook, we wouldn't have had those riots.
There is so much pent up animosity and anxiety right now because of social media. You're right. I you know, one of my guests, I've had one guest that I tour with a bunch. I love her. She's addicted to the news. What's that?
It's not Hillary Jones, is it?
Oh no, I have nothing to do with Hillary Jones. She's burning up bridges on her own, man. No. There's a dear friend. She was an iconic artist, back in the '80s. She's addicted to news, and it's not good emotionally for her. It's not good for her anxiety level. And I, honestly, I check in on her a bunch. I worry about people that are so tied into the news, into that part of social media, because there's no conversation going on. There's nothing going on that's productive. I see a lot of people at each other's throats right now.
Yeah,
And
and damage is done. Once you hit send, you can't change
yeah,
it. Yeah, you can go and fix it, but somebody saw that and
yeah,
open up a rabbit hole that you will never crawl out of. And people kill themselves.
yeah, I
If we
know.
didn't have social media, there would have been no suicides of these young children killing themselves, because in high school, you were made fun of. I was made fun of.
Yep, me too.
But there wasn't social media where the world can see it now.
Right, right.
And that's what I hate about social media is it's like a microscope on your head
Yeah.
for the world to see when you're balding, and it's like, oh shit. So it's like, even for me,
I was
like
just going
when
to say
I'm
this is
playing,
this is
you
Chad's
know,
PTSD coming out right now.
yeah, like when I'm playing festivals and there's like a 50-foot screen and
Uh-huh.
they zoom on my head and I'm like,
Okay.
get that crap off of me. Shoot my kick drum, not my head.
That's the side extra chin that I have, that where they shoot from down below. That's the one that gets me on the
Why?
big screen.
Yeah, we have insecurities too.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're old is when this goes and you grows in nose hairs and zooming right in it. You're like,
Yeah, man. I know that.
it's like,
as much
why would you shoot me? You saw my nose hairs.
as much as you want to be on that big screen, man, it is humbling for sure, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do kind of sympathize for the super super famous actresses and
Oh,
celebrity, where
yeah.
every day you got to look to the nines,
Right.
or
Oh, she's got cellulite. Oh my gosh.
oh my god, you
Yeah.
see she's got tank ass
Right.
now. It's like,
You kind of hope, and honestly, I'm really, really hopeful that this pandemic has made it appropriate and acceptable to kind of be natural, to let our hair go gray, and to let to when we don't have our hair cut, or just our roots are showing, or whatever, you can't get in for your Botox shots, whatever. I think it's really healthy. I think for people to kind of develop their natural look again, and for the most part, just to develop a sense of self-confidence, and acceptance to each other. You mentioned people making fun of each other, or making fun of other people, and but the fact that everybody on the planet right now is going through the same thing is a grateful thing. I'm
we're on the same
grateful.
playing field.
We
Yeah.
are, man, because if you look underneath our skin, buddy, we're all the same there too, right? So there's no
The whole
reason.
Black Lives Matter. I have some of my best friends are black.
Yeah,
And when you say Black Lives Matter, now I might be getting into some personal stuff, but I'm just going to speak on the truth.
sure.
All lives matter.
Of
Why?
course.
Because if you cut me, you cut a black guy, a Mexican, Chinese, whatever,
Yep.
we're all bleeding red.
Right. Yeah.
So
There's a conversation to be had about that because, you and I both as white, male Americans, we've had
privilege is what they call it. But
but we
if
have
this
had
is
more
your
opportunities.
research, we worked hard,
But
and
okay.
I've got into it with white cops, with the
Sure.
white guy. It's what the social media wants the the demographic to see so they can have money in their bank account.
But,
And that's what breaks up the unity of our world, is to publicize it and to show, oh, the black people just got beat up by the white people, or the white people beat up the black guy, or the Mexican beat up the Chinese guy. And it's like, dude, this happens whether we like it or not. And the way I've said this is, people complain how rough they have it. No, black people had it way worse in the days of Martin Luther King. That's what he fought for, where you couldn't even play jazz music in a club because you were black.
right. Yeah.
We have so much freedom here as white, black, Mexican, everything, that we take for granted. And we
Sure.
want more, and we want more. We'll go overseas and see how well that works out. It isn't great over there, every
Yeah.
place. They'll shoot you dead.
I was going to ask you about some of this touring, man. Have you found, because you've toured internationally for a long time, did you find that with Black Star Riders, you guys traveled Europe and Asia, right?
All we do
Yeah.
is the UK. And yeah.
I was just going to say, because that band, I think it seems to have an international, like, sort of fan base that transcends, like, the US. I expect it to be bigger, just, the sound and one of my dearest friends, he was my tour manager back in days that I grew up in Montana together. He was a sound guy in Seattle. He worked with you guys right when you joined the band. Huge fan of you, Bill O'Connor. Like his WJ O'Connor is his Facebook name. It's still, his profile's still there. He passed away earlier this year, and
I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm trying to think if that was when I was with him.
you had just joined the band, I think, because he was telling me, "Oh my God, you have to see this drummer." And he said, "Chad Szeliga." And I said, "Yo, I know Chad, man." But he he'd been but he's a he's one of those guys that he's just a hardworking blue collar guy from Butte, Montana. Grew up in a mining town. Best tour manager and sound guy I ever had. Just taking care of the band. He's one of those guys that would, he would throw down to make sure that he took care of his boys. And I remember him first telling me about the band, back before you joined the band. But I thought, oh my, this is going to be huge. This band's going to be the biggest thing to hit the US. Yeah. And I still think it has full potential for that. You guys, had done so much outside the US, but when you were touring, did you have plans this summer to be out overseas as well? Wasn't there something in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, our record went #1 in the UK.
Yeah.
And we only toured it for 2 months. And Christian is obviously in Stone Sour, and Corey was doing Slipknot. So we had him involved in the writing process, and he's such a good guitar player and good guy. And then Ricky has his solos. I have my band, Walking with Lions.
Right.
We all had solo projects and side projects. With doing Black Star Riders was our, priority, but we also have other things.
Okay.
And Robbie was doing other things, and Scott was just golfing. I mean, this is his only thing, and this is the only thing he needs to do.
Sure.
He's an icon. So we were doing that, and then this hit, and it kind of put a damper on Black Star Riders. So it made me spend more time with the Walking with Lions stuff that I've been working with diligently for the past 3-4 years under the radar. We put like one out called Ghost.
Yeah, it's a great song, man. That's the only song I'd heard, but it's huge. It's badass.
Yeah, thank you. We were only together, Nowhere to Lie, 3 times as a band, and wrote that.
Really?
That's it.
Yeah, there's some chemistry there.
A handful of shows, and they're just super talented guys.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable musicians. And then when this pandemic happened, with not doing anything with Black Star Riders, I'm like, again, what's going to happen? here I go again, like
Right.
the White Snake song. Like, oh my gosh, I could write a story about this.
Yeah.
And then I got a gig with this band called Weapons of a New, that signed a deal, and they wanted me to play on the record. So I was like, cool. And the guy named Mike Ferretti did the producing on it. And I know him from previous things and blah, blah, blah. But I did the record. They loved it. And now I'm their drummer.
Wow.
I'm in
Wow.
3 bands. So either this pandemic's a good thing or a bad thing. So when this pandemic really opens up and we're back on tour, I'm going to be like, so here's the deal, Black Star Riders.
Right.
I can't play tonight because I have to go get an operation, and then I go do, so it's like,
You know who to talk to about that is Miles Kennedy. Miles will tell you how to go from going from his gig, personal gig, to
got the
slash gig
101.
to
Yeah.
to Alter Bridge, man. He like I'm wearing his shirt proudly, man. Hopefully the
Great
pandemic's,
guy, man.
he really
Super,
is,
and can play guitar
like,
as good or even better than Mark Tremonti. And Mark will admit that.
yeah, he will. Yeah, I've heard him say it, man. Yeah, I think he's figured it out. It's great, and he too has a really great way of balancing family. He no kiddos, but he's if he doesn't bring his wife everywhere on tour with him, he's just content being home family in Spokane, Washington. So
He's a great guy. I was this close to playing with them. I get a call from their manager to play with Slash because Brent Fitz had eye surgery.
Detached retina like 3 times, man.
I feel he's such a great guy, and I feel terrible for him for going through that. But Will Hunt called me to do the gig because he was going back and doing Evanescence. So I'm here. I have to do Lollapalooza, and I have, I think, a day or two to learn like 10 or 15 songs.
Oh,
and I was just like, oh boy. And then it didn't happen. They got the bass player had his drummer play and this and that. It's like that look, but you can't touch.
Right. Oh, it's so close. Well, you know what? The fact that you're on that radar is all that matters, because when
I'm humbled, and just to say that they thought of me, is enough. It did pay my bills? No, but it did here. Like Zoltan always says that you want more money in your soul account than your bank account.
Hey, man. God, he's got so many good sayings, man.
It ain't from me, man. It's from Zoltan. So hang with him.
I met him once when he came through with Slaughter a couple years ago. Nate sings his praises all the time too, and he's obviously so incredible to watch. He's got such a stage show that's insane. But I might hit him up on Facebook to see if he wants to come on.
If you ever want to do a podcast with him, I'm sure he would love to. I mean, that guy is just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful individual inside and out. I mean, the guy can drum. People bust his chops and say, oh, he shows off and all that, and he's not even a good drummer. It's like, he's another candle in that dark room, and he will never stop.
That's so great, man.
He's not even playing with Vince Neil because Vince went back to Motley Crue, hence before the pandemic. And I'm like, what are you going to do, bro? He's like, God's got a plan.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that, but what is the plan? Never shows fear. I mean, that guy has more faith than anyone. I mean, he is literally my spiritual guider. He is my guardian angel I never had in my entire life. And I've known him for many years. And that guy will spend, no word to lie, as he has with me for 12 hours talking.
Wow. Incredible, man.
He's an unbelievable guy, literally.
But if you weren't that type of person too, then it wouldn't happen. I believe that. And I think that the opportunities that come your way, the reason that you're getting the phone calls for guys that are in need is because you've paid those dues early on. The first time I met you, man, the fact that you and I could just sit there, I feel like I could talk to you for days at a time, because your heart is pure, man. And I love that you're a dad, more than anything else, man, because
that's awesome, right? I mean, that's when you're old, is when you're a dad and picking out, video games and then doing mulch in the back.
Yeah, but you want that kind of dad, man. I know how much it matters to you, how important it is to you. And for me, being able to play music is what I feel like, my purpose, my life's purpose was. I love being out there on stage. I love being able to interact with people and get that energy. But the more important than anything else, man, is just be able to connect with my kids. We're taking a huge road trip to see my dad on Tuesday to Montana, and I'm excited to have my boys with me, man. So
And
I
it's great to share that bond, not to interrupt you. It's great
yeah,
to share that bond with your son and allowing me to give him some food for knowledge where you can be like, I'm his father. Whatever you're saying is wrong. Listen to me, kid.
yeah,
You were very humble about it. It was like, talk to Chad, and just to give me, I don't take it as you're glad you're being around me. I take it the other way. It's like, I'm privileged to allow myself to be heard
yeah, yeah,
no matter what I've done. And same with you. It's like, because I did, talk to your son, you're going to be doing that too
yeah.
for,
I,
so
it matters more important to me when we're on tour. I've met so many kids the last couple of years. There are a bunch of guys that I stay in touch with, their parents and these kids.
yeah,
Um, there was a kid walking into a show that we played in Detroit to kick our tour last year. His parents were walking in. I had some friends that I met over on the side of the arena as we came in, and
yep.
the kid had his Flock of Seagull shirt on, and I said, "That's interesting." I mean, this kid's like 10, right? So I thought there's just no way he could know the band. And I said, "I dig your shirt, man." And then the guy looks up and he goes, "Wait, aren't you in the band?" I said, "Yeah, I'm the drummer." He goes, "Oh my God, my son loves the drums. He doesn't have a drum set yet, but he has a snare drum and he's got sticks. Do you think that we could maybe get a drumstick from you?" I said, "Totally, man. Come up after the show. Just come up to the side of the stage. I'll make sure a security guy brings you back up." And they, right at the end of the concert, they came over and they're on the side of the stage, and security is trying to push him away. And I go, "No, no, 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 let the guy up here." So the guy picks this kid up, puts him on stage,
Awesome.
and I hoisted him up on my shoulder, gave him these sticks, and I got this picture of him on my shoulder. He's holding these sticks out, and his dad sent it to me. He said, "Man, he sleeps with these drumsticks." It was the greatest moment of his life, and we stay in touch a bunch on Facebook. And the kid was semi low functioning autistic, and he said this has given him some opportunity to just have a connection with something tangible, tactical, that he can do with his energy. And those things, those experiences, were my favorite things of being out on tour. I can
That's
remember.
what I miss, and I think that's what you miss the most is, you know, again, I always have to quote Zoltan, but uh, when we play drums live, there's something that takes over us that we can't explain. Like whether we're shy, but when we're on drums, we're like Michael Jackson. We're a complete different animal.
Yeah,
But the thing that I realize is we're so hard on ourselves. Like, oh, I hit a rim.
yeah,
Let me tell you, from my experience, no one knows.
right,
If you do it again, because
right,
then it makes it sound like you did it on purpose for
right,
color.
right.
But the thing that I've learned is the more you hate yourself and the way you play, the more you upset God, because he made you the way you play for a reason. As you're playing, someone is watching you play that's inspired, that wants to be like you or wants to be better than you. And when you are down on yourself, you cannot provide that for those kids.
Yeah,
And the thing that I do now is I play for the Lord. I don't even play for the fans anymore. And it changes my whole perception of how I thought the show went. And if that kid or kids or people had a great time, we did our job, right?
yeah, absolutely.
To see, I mean, you're a great father. I mean, just from just watching you with your son when we met. I taught an autistic kid, and he's about to graduate Berkeley
Oh
for drumming.
wow, nice, man.
And when you brought that up, you know, I'm that type of guy. When a kid gets outcast because of a handicap, I don't look at it as a handicap. I look at it as a huge blessing, because they can do things that we can't do.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And just because I can tell you what 2 + 2 is, and that they can't, but they can do a maze and not go and make one erase mark and get to the finish line without erasing once, that's genius.
Yeah,
So when you can give that gift of your blessing and provide to that kid who is autistic but doesn't show it, because it takes a whole different perception to him of, I'm on stage. I don't know what's really happening. This isn't sunken in. And to see those kind of things is what I miss. And I'm sure, again, you miss is making that kid's day,
Yeah.
his handicap or not,
Right.
taking that illness and just washing it away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
You know?
like I said, I'm so grateful that you're in the position you are, and to be able to have that experience and that interaction with people. You're changing the world, man. Every time you step on stage,
So are you.
well,
You
you
know,
know what?
I can't do it without an army.
Yeah, man, I love it. I am so glad that we got to reconnect, buddy. And I think,
We got to do it more often.
absolutely, I look forward to the time that I get to see you on stage, but I also look forward to the time that you and I get the chance just face to face, man. Can't wait to give
Yeah.
you a hug. And
Yeah. I know.
I'm really I'm grateful. There were a lot of great things that you spelled out here, and I got a lot of food for thought, a lot of nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
And to you, and
And
thanks for taking the time. I mean, on your Father's Day,
yeah, well,
to enlighten the world on our career and the struggles that we all endure and all the happy parts that
yeah,
come too. Like I wouldn't. I don't regret anything. I don't regret the things I mean, I do regret the things I said, but I don't, because it
sure,
makes me reflect and go, okay, I was out of line.
yeah.
I did this out of character, and I'm not representing my faith in that aspect. So you
It,
kind of have to look at yourself as you representing a band. Any dumb thing that you do reflects on your band. So if you post anything stupid on social media, it doesn't reflect on you. It reflects on your whole team.
that's the truth.
And that's why we got to be cautious, and we have to love everyone equally.
Yeah, man.
And, love yourself before you can love another is my food for thought for today.
I love it, man.
Live life to the fullest, and be content who you are. I have big ears. I accept it. It sucks, but it is what it is. And people are like, you don't even have big ears until you just told me. And then I'm like, so now I told you. Now you know I got big ears. And
they
now you think I got big ears?
they still
It's
don't
like,
look big, but
but
only
it's always yourself. If
sure.
we never had a mirror,
Yeah,
we would never know what we look like
that's
until
true.
someone.
Yeah, man. Well, the next time you look in the mirror, give yourself a hug for me, and tell Heather, please, thank you for sharing an hour and a half of your time with us today, man. I really, it's a value and a blessing to me, man. I really thank you. I can't tell you. Have a wonderful Father's Day.
Yeah,
Please be
you
safe in the pandemic, and
and drive safe travels,
can't wait,
Steve.
man. Thank you.
And
Thank you,
give your
buddy.
boy a hug for me.
I will, man. He's probably watching from the other room right now. So
I'm so
thank you.
happy that he's doing it, and if he ever needs any advice when it gets rough, you always have him call me.
I will, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Chad Szeliga, you are a great, beautiful human being, man. I
Thanks.
love you.
So are you.
Thank you guys so much. I'll be back here again tomorrow with Chuck Alkazian from Detroit. And you guys have a wonderful Father's Day. Thank you for spending the afternoon with us. Chad, thank you again, man. Have a great day.
Absolutely. All right,
Thank,
man. Be
thank,
safe.
thank you, pal.
All right. Take care, bro.